No human had ever entered the Galactic Council chamber armed. Until Ambassador Adrian Cole. The enormous chamber floated at the center of the galactic capital like a metallic sun. Thousands of alien delegates filled the towering circular seats, rising endlessly toward the ceiling. Massive holograms rotated overhead, displaying stars, trade routes, and the symbol of the council itself, a silver crown wrapped around the galaxy. At the center platform stood Adrian. Alone. A single human surrounded by species that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. And every one of them was staring at him. Some with curiosity, most with disgust. Counselor Zyrex leaned forward from his throne-like seat. The reptilian leader's golden armor gleamed beneath the chamber lights. "Human representative," he hissed, "you stand before the highest authority in known space." Adrian said nothing. Zyrex continued. "For 3 years your species has ignored council taxation." A hologram appeared above the chamber showing human cargo fleets crossing trade sectors. Human colonies continue expanding without authorization. Another hologram appeared, Earth warships escorting civilian convoys. And your military growth has become concerning. Murmurs spread among the alien delegates. Everyone in the galaxy knew the rumors. Human ships were advancing too quickly. Human weapons evolved after every conflict. And humans had somehow transformed from a primitive species into a rising military power in less than 50 years. That terrified the Council, because ancient empires feared fast-growing civilizations, especially unpredictable ones. Counselor Zyrex raised one clawed hand. The Council has reached a decision. The chamber fell silent instantly. Humanity will submit to imperial oversight. A new hologram appeared. This one showed Earth beneath the Council banner. You will surrender fleet command authority, pay tribute resources, and accept permanent Council governors on all human worlds. Adrian finally spoke. No. The single word echoed sharply across the chamber. Several delegates laughed quietly. Zyrex narrowed his eyes. You misunderstand, human. This is not negotiation. Adrian's expression never changed. No, he replied calmly. You misunderstand humanity. The chamber grew colder. Even the translators seemed slower after that sentence. Zyrex stood from his throne. You are a young species surrounded by powers older than your civilization itself. You should be grateful the Council allows your existence. Adrian almost smiled. That was the problem. The Council believed humanity feared them. But humans had spent all of history surviving things far worse than arrogant politicians. Wars, plagues, extinction events. Humanity had clawed its way through every nightmare imaginable long before reaching the stars. Fear wasn't new to them. Zyrex's voice became harder. Kneel before the Council, Ambassador. Every eye in the chamber locked onto Adrian. Thousands of alien delegates waiting for humanity's surrender. The silence stretched endlessly. Then Adrian reached slowly into his coat. Security drones instantly activated around the chamber. Weapons locked onto him. Several guards stepped forward. But Adrian ignored them. Instead, he pulled out a small metal object and placed it carefully onto the central platform. An old human flag pin. Blue. White. Earth's original symbol. Zyrex looked confused. What is that supposed to mean? Adrian stared directly at him. It means humans remember. The chamber remained silent. We remember every empire in our history that demanded obedience. We remember every tyrant who believed power made them untouchable. His voice stayed calm. That somehow made it more dangerous. And every single one eventually fell. The temperature in the room suddenly felt colder. Zyrex slammed his staff against the floor. You dare threaten the Council? Adrian shook his head slowly. No. Then he looked around at the thousands of alien delegates watching him. I'm warning you. The chamber erupted into furious noise. Delegates shouted across the hall. Arrogant primitive. Humanity overestimates itself. Teach them obedience. But through all the chaos, Adrian remained perfectly calm. Because humanity had already prepared for this moment. For years Earth intelligence had intercepted secret council discussions, economic sanctions, military containment plans, even invasion simulations. The council had never intended peaceful coexistence. Humanity's growing strength made the old empires nervous. And nervous empires made desperate decisions. Zyrex pointed one claw directly at Adrian. You stand here alone, human. Adrian finally smiled fully. No. At that exact moment, every hologram inside the chamber suddenly changed. The council star maps vanished. Emergency warnings flooded the displays. Gasps spread through the delegates. Thousands of unknown ships had just appeared at the edge of council space. Human ships. An entire fleet. And at the center of it, the largest warship ever seen in the galaxy. Nearly 30 kilometers long. Black armored hull. Glowing blue engines. A human supercarrier. Counselor Zyrex stared in disbelief. That's impossible. Adrian looked up calmly at the hologram. No, he corrected quietly. That's humanity. The supercarrier's transmission suddenly echoed across the chamber. A female voice. Cold. Controlled. Powerful. This is Fleet Admiral Sophia Reyes of the United Earth Navy. Her image appeared above the delegates. We received your surrender demand. Silence crushed the chamber. Then Sophia spoke the sentence that would soon spread across the entire galaxy. Earth refuses. And somewhere deep inside the Galactic Council, for the very first time, fear began to grow. The Galactic Council chamber descended into chaos. Thousands of delegates shouted over one another while alarms flashed crimson across the massive holographic displays. The image of the human supercarrier still hovered above the chamber like a warning from the future. Counselor Zyrex stared at it in disbelief. 30 kilometers long. No species built warships that large unless they were preparing for total war. And humanity had built 3. Military analysts rushed between stations below the chamber. Unknown weapon systems detected. Energy output exceeds Council Dreadnought classifications. How did human construction remain hidden? The questions came faster than answers. Because for decades the Council had underestimated humanity. That mistake was now becoming impossible to ignore. At the center platform, Ambassador Adrian Cole remained perfectly calm while security drones surrounded him with charged weapons. Zyrex glared down at him. You planned this. Adrian shrugged slightly. You demanded humanity kneel. You expected us to prepare a speech. Several delegates erupted angrily. This is military intimidation. A declaration of rebellion. Destroy the fleet before it reaches the core. But one elderly alien sitting quietly near the upper chamber finally spoke. Ambassador Thalen of the Vayari. Unlike most council races, the Vayari had actually studied human history. And what he understood frightened him deeply. You fools, Thalen whispered. The chamber slowly quieted. Thalen looked toward Zyrex. You still believe humans think like us? Zyrex narrowed his reptilian eyes. They are a primitive species obsessed with warfare. No, Thalen replied softly. They are a species obsessed with freedom. That single word changed the atmosphere. Because freedom was dangerous. Most galactic civilizations valued order over individuality. Stability over independence. Humans were the opposite. They resisted control instinctively. History proved it repeatedly. Empires had tried conquering Earth for thousands of years. Every single one eventually collapsed. Zyrex slammed his staff against the floor again. The Council will not tolerate defiance. He pointed toward Adrian. Detain the human ambassador. Security drones moved instantly, then stopped. Every system inside the chamber suddenly flickered. Lights dimmed. Displays distorted. A shocked technician shouted from below. Our networks are compromised. What? Human cyber intrusion detected. The chamber erupted again as holographic systems across the Council Citadel began displaying the same image. Earth. Blue oceans rotating peacefully against the darkness of space. Then Admiral Sophia Reyes appeared again. Her sharp eyes scanned the chamber calmly. We anticipated this response, she said. Zyrex roared furiously. You infiltrated council systems. Sophia ignored him completely. Instead, she addressed the entire chamber. For 30 years humanity attempted peaceful integration. Images appeared beside her. Human medical ships aiding alien colonies. Earth engineers rebuilding damaged trade stations. Human rescue crews evacuating civilians during solar disasters. We shared technology. We protected trade routes. We honored every treaty. The images changed again. Secret council documents appeared across the displays. Military expansion plans. Human containment proposals. Economic destabilization projects. Even invasion simulations targeting Earth. Shock spread among the delegates. Many races had never known these plans existed. Sophia's voice became colder. While humanity pursued cooperation, the council prepared chains. Councillor Zyrex shouted desperately, "Remove this transmission." Technicians panicked below. "We can't. Human encryption is overriding central control." Adrian allowed himself a small smile. The council still didn't understand. Humanity wasn't stronger because of bigger ships. Humanity was stronger because humans adapted faster than anyone else. Every attempt to suppress them only forced them to improve. Sophia continued speaking. "You demanded Earth kneel." Her expression hardened. "So let me answer clearly." The hologram zoomed outward from Earth. What appeared next stunned the entire chamber into silence. Fleet after fleet emerged from hidden positions around the solar system. Thousands of warships, stealth carriers, defense platforms hidden near asteroid belts, massive orbital cannons surrounding Mars. Humanity had transformed its entire system into a fortress, and the council never saw it happening. One delegate whispered fearfully, "How long have they been preparing?" Adrian answered quietly, "Since the first time your council called us dangerous." Sophia folded her hands behind her back. "Humanity does not seek war." A brief pause. "But if war is forced upon us?" Her eyes locked directly onto Zyrex. "We will finish it." The transmission ended instantly. Silence consumed the chamber. Heavy, uneasy, fearful. For the first time in galactic history, the Galactic Council realized something horrifying. Humanity had never truly trusted them. And worse, humanity had prepared for betrayal long before this meeting ever began. Zyrex finally broke the silence. "Mobilize the fleets." Several delegates looked nervous. "You intend invasion?" "We must strike before humanity grows stronger." Ambassador Thalen stood slowly. "And if you fail?" Zyrex glared at him. "We will not." But deep inside, even he no longer sounded certain. Meanwhile, far above Earth, Admiral Sophia Reyes stood aboard the supercarrier Valiant watching hundreds of warships move into defensive formation around the planet. Commander Malik approached carefully. "Do you think they'll attack?" Sophia stared silently at the stars. Then answered softly, "They already decided to." Almost immediately, warning alarms echoed across the bridge. A tactical officer turned pale. "Admiral." Multiple hyperspace signatures detected at the edge of the Sol system. The main screen lit up. Dozens. Then hundreds. Then thousands of alien warships emerging from hyperspace. The Galactic Council had made its choice. And the war for humanity had just begun. The Sol system ignited with alarm. As the first wave of Galactic Council warships emerged from hyperspace, space itself seemed to fracture under their arrival. Massive alien dreadnoughts unfolded like metal storms, their formations spreading across orbit with terrifying precision. On every human screen, the same words flashed. Hostile fleet contact, multiple signatures. Admiral Sophia Reyes stood on the bridge of the supercarrier Valiant, eyes locked on the growing armada outside Earth's orbit. "Count?" she asked calmly. A tactical officer swallowed hard. "Initial estimate, 6,000 warships." Another voice corrected him immediately. 7,000. More still arriving. The number alone was enough to break lesser civilizations. Across Earth, planetary defense grids activated in silence. Ocean platforms rose from the sea. Hidden orbital cannons unfolded from stealth stations. Laser arrays charged along the moon's surface. Humanity had not waited for permission from the galaxy. It had prepared. For decades. Sophia turned slightly. Activate full system reveal. A moment later, Earth changed. What the Council believed was a peaceful, vulnerable planet suddenly became something else entirely. The oceans shimmered as massive submerged defense engines activated beneath them. Mountain ranges opened, revealing hidden missile silos deep inside the crust. Entire cities revealed integrated evacuation tunnels and underground command bunkers. Earth was not a home. It was a fortress. And the Galactic Council had just walked into its kill zone. On the Council flagship leading the invasion fleet, Commander Jarak stared at the transformation in disbelief. This is impossible. Humanity had hidden an entire planetary defense network at this scale? Another officer shouted. They've been preparing for total war. But Jarak refused to accept it. Fire orbital suppression beams. Crush their defense platforms before they fully activate. The Council fleet moved instantly. Massive energy beams descended toward Earth's orbital installations. Entire satellites detonated in brilliant flashes of light. For a brief moment, it seemed the Council had the advantage. Then Earth responded. Sophia's voice cut through every human channel. Counterstrike Protocol Omega. The supercarrier Valiant launched first. Then the fleet followed. Thousands of human warships surged upward from hidden positions behind the moon, asteroid belts, and orbital debris fields. The Council had entered expecting a primitive defense. Instead, they met a coordinated human war formation that moved like a single organism. Council pilots panicked. They were already in position. Impossible timing. Humanity didn't respond to their confusion. It responded with fire. Railgun volleys streaked through space at relativistic speeds. Missile clouds expanded like artificial comets. Stealth frigates slipped between enemy formations, targeting command vessels with surgical precision. The first Council destroyer exploded within minutes. Then the second. Then an entire battle line collapsed. On the Valiant, Commander Malik stared at the tactical display. They are breaking formation already. Sophia didn't look surprised. Because they expected obedience, she said. A nearby explosion lit the viewport in blue-white light as another alien cruiser shattered. But they found resistance instead. Outside Earth, the battle escalated rapidly. Council fleets attempted to regroup, but human ships adapted too quickly. Every Council tactic was countered within seconds. Every formation was predicted and disrupted. Every attack met with an unexpected response. And then something worse happened for the invaders. Earth's hidden planetary cannons fired. Massive energy beams erupted from the planet's surface, striking Council capital ships directly. Entire dreadnoughts were torn apart in single strikes. Commander Jarak's voice shook for the first time. They had planetary weapons, fully integrated. Why weren't we told? But there was no answer. Because the Council intelligence had been wrong from the beginning. They believed humanity was growing. They never realized humanity had already finished growing. On the Valiant, Sophia watched the battlefield unfold with cold precision. Enemy command structure destabilizing. Continue pressure. But then a new alert appeared. A tactical officer turned pale. Admiral. Multiple high-energy signatures forming behind our rear formation. Sophia's eyes narrowed. Reinforcements. The screen flickered. Then it appeared. More Council fleets. But different. Larger. Heavily armored. Elite war divisions. Council shock troops. Commander Malik whispered. They were holding back. Sophia exhaled slowly. Of course they were. The Galactic Council hadn't launched its full force yet. This was still only a warning strike. A message. Not a war. Not yet. The elite Council fleet opened fire instantly. And for the first time since the battle began. Human losses started to appear. A destroyer vanished in a silent explosion. A cruiser lost half its hull. Alarm signals echoed across human channels. On the bridge, Malik looked at Sophia. They're adapting too. Sophia stared at the battlefield. Her expression remained calm, but her voice dropped slightly. Good. Because now, it was no longer a test. It was war, and humanity was finally allowed to respond without restraint. She turned to her tactical officers. Release the reserve fleets. The officers froze. The reserve fleets are untested. Sophia interrupted sharply. I didn't ask if they were tested. A pause. I asked if they were ready. A moment of silence. Then the order was given. Deep within Earth's hidden military network, something ancient awakened, and the galaxy was about to learn what humanity truly built when it stopped pretending to be peaceful. The Council fleet's sensors suddenly screamed. A new signal appeared across the battlefield. Massive, unidentified, approaching from all directions. Commander Jarak stared at the display in horror. What did they just release? And far above Earth, Sophia Reyes finally answered the question. Us. The moment humanity released its reserve fleets, the tone of the war changed completely. Not gradually. Instantly. Space around Earth fractured with coordinated hyperspace jumps as hidden human armadas emerged from pre-programmed shadow coordinates. Entire fleets that had never been publicly acknowledged unfolded into reality like blades being drawn. Council commanders froze. Because this was not reinforcement. This was a second civilization. Commander Jarak's tactical display turned red within seconds. Where are they coming from? His officers struggled to stabilize the sensors. Behind our lines. Above the ecliptic. Inside our formation. How is that possible? The answer came too late. Human stealth doctrine had evolved beyond what the Council understood. Ships were not simply hidden. They were embedded. For years. Sleeping inside gravitational blind zones, asteroid clusters, and even drifting within Council patrol routes using adaptive stealth fields. Now they woke up. And they were angry. On the Valiant, Admiral Sophia Reyes watched the battlefield expand. The human reserve fleets moved like synchronized lightning. No wasted motion. No hesitation. Each formation already knew its target before firing. Commander Malik stared at the data. They've been practicing for this scenario for years. Sophia didn't look away from the battle. Decades, she corrected. A Council dreadnought attempted to reposition but was instantly intercepted by 3 human destroyers. Their combined fire tore through its shields in under 10 seconds. The ship split apart silently. Then another fell. And another. But the Council elite fleet responded quickly. Heavily armored vessels pushed forward, absorbing punishment that would destroy normal warships. Energy beams lanced across space, forcing human formations to scatter. For the first time, humanity's advance slowed. Jarak saw it and regained confidence. They can bleed. Push them back. Council formations tightened. A massive coordinated barrage struck the human forward line. Several human ships erupted into fragments. A moment of silence followed. Then every human channel across the battlefield went quiet. On the Valiant, Malik looked at Sophia. We're taking losses. Sophia's expression did not change. She simply said, expected. Then she turned toward the tactical array. Begin adaptive escalation. Human ships responded immediately. What happened next confused even the Council's most advanced analysts. Instead of retreating or reinforcing defenses, human formations changed shape. Entire fleets reorganized mid-battle into unfamiliar geometries. Square grids became spirals. Spirals became fragmented swarm clusters. And swarm clusters became something worse. Unpredictable movement patterns. Council targeting systems began failing. We can't lock them. They're breaking prediction models. Jarak slammed his fist down. Adjust algorithms. But every adjustment made things worse. Human fleets were no longer following doctrine. They were improvising. learning, adapting in real time faster than Council systems could update. On the Valiant, Malik whispered, "They're not fighting like a fleet." Sophia finished the sentence. "They're fighting like humans." A nearby explosion shook the ship as a Council missile barrage struck the outer defensive screen. Damage alarms flashed briefly, then stabilized. Sophia finally turned. "Deploy experimental strike wings." Malik hesitated. "Those are unstable, Admiral." Sophia's eyes hardened slightly. "So is the enemy." A pause. Then the order was given. Far from Earth, hidden carriers opened their bays. And something new emerged. Smaller ships. Faster ships. Unmarked. Built not for endurance, but for disruption. Council analysts immediately detected them. New class incoming. What are those weapons systems? But before they could classify them, the strike wings entered the battlefield. And the war broke again. These ships didn't engage in traditional combat. They broke structure. They slipped between formations, disabling command vessels instead of destroying them. They jammed communications at the source. They targeted sensor arrays instead of armor. Within minutes, entire Council divisions began collapsing into confusion. Commander Jarak watched in disbelief. "Our coordination is failing." "How?" A subordinate answered shakily. "They're not defeating us physically." A pause. "They're dismantling how we think." On the Valiant, Sophia observed the chaos forming in enemy ranks. Psychological warfare integration is working. Malik looked uneasy. "That's brutal." Sophia replied quietly, "It's necessary." The Council elite fleet attempted a final counteroffensive. Massive energy lances struck human positions again. More ships were lost. But this time, human reaction changed. Instead of regrouping, they advanced. Straight into the fire. Commander Jarak's eyes widened. "They're charging through it." His voice broke slightly. "Why would they do that?" And then he saw it. Human ships were not trying to survive the attack. They were trying to end the battle faster than the Council could continue it. Sacrifice was not failure. It was strategy. The Council line began to crack. Then collapse. One sector at a time. On the Valiant, Malik finally spoke. "They are breaking." Sophia nodded once. "But they still don't understand us." She looked toward Earth behind them. "We are not winning because we are stronger." A pause. "We are winning because we refuse to stop." Outside, the Council fleet began to falter under the relentless human advance. And for the first time, Commander Jarak felt something unfamiliar rising in his chest. Not anger. Not pride. Fear. Because he realized something terrifying. This was not humanity at its peak. This was humanity holding back. And the war had only just begun. The battlefield above Earth was no longer a structured war. It was collapse. Fragments of shattered Council dreadnoughts drifted like burning debris fields as human fleets pushed deeper into enemy formations. What had begun as a controlled invasion had become a disintegration of command. And the Galactic Council finally realized something it had never considered before. Humanity was not reacting to their invasion. Humanity was ending it. Commander Jarak stood frozen on his flagship bridge as tactical displays flickered red across every sector. Rear formation collapsing. Supply cruisers lost. Elite fleet coordination failure. Each report came faster than the last. His officers were no longer shouting commands. They were reacting to panic. Because Council warfare depended on structure, predictability, hierarchy, and humans had removed all three. Jarak slammed his clawed hand against the command console. "Re-establish formation." A frightened officer turned toward him. "We can't, Commander. They're inside the network." Jarak's eyes widened. "What do you mean inside?" The answer came immediately. Council fleet communications fractured into static. Then human interference flooded every channel. On every screen across the battlefield, Admiral Sophia Reyes appeared again. Calm, unshaken, Her voice carried through collapsing systems as if the war itself had paused for her. This is your final warning. Behind her, Earth's orbital defenses glowed like a ring of fire. Sophia continued. Withdraw from Sol space. Leave Council authority behind. And return to your systems. A pause. Then her eyes hardened. Or be removed. Council commanders erupted instantly. Remove us. She's bluffing. Activate Total Annihilation Protocol. Jarak clenched his teeth. Fire everything at Earth. The order was given. And the Council unleashed its true force. Entire capital ships redirected their course toward the planet below. Massive energy arrays charged beyond safe limits. Space itself bent under the pressure of their combined firepower. The attack came like a falling sky. Beams of pure destruction struck Earth's orbital shield network. For a moment, it held. Then cracks appeared. On the Valiant, Malik shouted, "Shield integrity dropping." Sophia watched silently. Then spoke one sentence. "Activate planetary mirror grid." Malik froze. That system was never tested in full combat conditions. Sophia turned slightly. Neither were we. For a brief moment, everything stopped. Then Earth responded. From hidden installations across the planet, energy relays activated simultaneously. Oceanic platforms rose from deep water. Mountain cores opened. Orbital satellites aligned into geometric formation. And Earth's shield did something the Council did not expect. It reflected. Not just energy, but entire attack vectors. Council beams redirected back into their own fleet formations with precision timing. Capital ships erupted instantly as their own weapons returned to them amplified. Commander Jarak watched his fleet begin to collapse under its own fire. No. Entire divisions were wiped out in seconds. Council formations broke completely. And for the first time in galactic history, a Council invasion force began retreating from a single planet. But Sophia did not order pursuit. She raised a hand. Hold. Malik looked at her sharply. Admiral, we can finish them. Sophia's expression remained cold. This is not the objective. She turned toward the battlefield. The objective is control of Sol. A pause. Not extinction. Outside, Council ships struggled to regroup, pulling back into fractured formations. Their confidence shattered. Their command structure broken. Jarak stood in silence as his flagship limped away from the battle line. He looked at the destroyed fleet around him. Then at Earth. For the first time, he understood. Humanity had not escalated this war. They had simply revealed what it would look like if they did. On the Valiant, Malik finally spoke softly. They are retreating. Sophia nodded. For now. She turned toward Earth. But they'll come back. A long pause followed. Then she added quietly. And next time, they'll bring everything. Silence filled the bridge. Because everyone understood what that meant. This was only the beginning phase of a much larger war. Far away, deep inside Council space, emergency transmissions spread across every empire. Humanity was no longer classified as rising threat. The designation had changed. Extinction-level civilization. Confirmed. And the Council began preparing for a war the galaxy had never seen before. The Galactic Council did not retreat in shame. It retreated to prepare. And that was far more dangerous. Within hours of the failed Earth assault, every major Council sector activated full war mobilization protocols. Entire shipyards across star systems ignited simultaneously. Civilian trade lanes were shut down. Industrial worlds were converted into fortress factories. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy entered total war footing. On Earth, Admiral Sophia Reyes studied incoming intelligence reports inside the Valiant's command chamber. Commander Malik stood beside her, arms crossed tightly. They are not stopping, he said quietly. Sophia didn't look away from the holographic map. No, she replied. They are scaling. The map expanded. Dozens of Council fleets became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. Entire regions of space lit up with enemy mobilization signatures. Malik exhaled slowly. They are preparing everything. Sophia nodded once. That's what empires do when they realize they might lose. A nearby tactical officer spoke up nervously. Admiral, we're detecting new signatures beyond Council space. The room fell silent. Sophia turned slightly. Define beyond. The officer swallowed. Unknown factions. Independent warlords. Outer empire coalitions. Malik frowned. So the Council isn't alone. Sophia's expression darkened slightly. No, she said quietly. It never was. Across the galaxy, the truth was becoming clear. The Council was not the only power that feared humanity. Others had been watching, waiting, calculating, because humanity's rapid rise was disrupting the balance of galactic order. And now, every dormant empire was waking up. On the Council flagship Dominion core, Commander Jarak stood before a massive war assembly hologram. Thousands of allied commanders from multiple species now filled the transmission. No longer just the Council. This was something larger. A coalition. A survival alliance. An insectoid admiral spoke first. The humans must be contained immediately. A crystalline strategist added. They adapt too quickly. Their expansion curve is unsustainable. A massive armored warlord growled. Then we burn their home system. Jarak hesitated, but only for a moment. Because he had seen Earth. He had seen what humanity was capable of when cornered. They will not surrender, he said. The room went silent. The warlord scoffed. Then they will die. But Jarak shook his head slowly. No. A pause. They will evolve. That single word made several commanders uneasy. Because evolution in warfare meant one thing. Unpredictability. Meanwhile, deep inside Earth's underground command network, Sophia stood before a new briefing. A classified transmission had arrived from deep space reconnaissance drones. Commander Malik played the footage. The screen flickered, then revealed it. Massive fleets. Not Council ships. Not human ships. Unknown designs. Dozens of alien empires converging toward known space like a gathering storm. Malik whispered. They're forming a coalition. Sophia studied the data carefully. How many? The analyst responded shakily. Too many to count. A long silence filled the room. Then Sophia said something unexpected. Good. Malik turned sharply. Good. Sophia nodded. Yes. She zoomed in on the converging fleets. Now we don't have to chase them. A faint, dangerous calm entered her voice. They're all coming to us. On the bridge of the Valiant, alarms suddenly erupted. Mass hyperspace event detected. Multiple entry points forming across Sol perimeter. Malik's eyes widened. They are surrounding us. Sophia stepped forward slowly. No. A pause. They are trapping themselves. Outside Earth, space fractured. And from every direction, the galaxy arrived. Thousands upon thousands of warships. A coalition of ancient empires. Every fleet determined to erase humanity before it could destabilize galactic order further. Commander Jarak appeared on all channels again. His voice was heavy now. Humanity. This is your final chance. Sophia Reyes appeared in response. Calm. Unmoving. Unshaken. Behind her, Earth's fleets began to rise again. And then she said the sentence that froze every alien commander across the galaxy. You came prepared for war. A pause. We came prepared for extinction. Silence. Then Earth's defenses fully activated. And the galaxy finally understood. This was no longer a conflict. It was the beginning of a species-level reckoning. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy stopped fighting itself and pointed every weapon at one species. Humanity. Above Earth, space was no longer empty darkness. It had become a wall of warships stretching beyond sensor range in every direction. Coalition fleets from dozens of ancient empires surrounded the Sol system like a tightening cage. Commander Jarak stood on the bridge of the Dominion core, watching the final encirclement complete. Even he had never imagined this scale. Millions of warships. Thousands of capital-class vessels. Dozens of coordinated command hierarchies merging into a single temporary war structure. All for one purpose. Erase humanity. On the tactical hologram, Earth appeared small. Fragile. Surrounded. A blue marble trapped in a storm of metal and fire. An insectoid admiral spoke through the coalition channel. Humanity cannot withstand unified galactic pressure. A crystalline commander added. Their psychological advantage is unpredictability. That advantage ends now. Jarak remained silent. Because deep down, he was no longer convinced. On Earth, Admiral Sophia Reyes stood at the center of the Valiant's bridge, surrounded by flickering tactical projections of overwhelming enemy numbers. Commander Malik spoke quietly. They've synchronized their fleets. Sophia nodded. Yes. That means they're afraid enough to cooperate. Malik frowned. Afraid. Sophia turned slightly. People don't unite like that unless they believe they might lose separately. Outside, the coalition fleets began their assault. It started with light. Hundreds of simultaneous energy beams struck Earth's outer defense grid. The planetary shield flared violently. Cracks formed instantly. Then came missiles. Then kinetic strikes. Then gravitational disruption weapons designed to tear orbital structures apart. Earth's defense network responded immediately. Planetary cannons fired in coordinated arcs. Human fleets surged outward from multiple orbital layers. But this time, there was no superiority, no advantage, only scale. The coalition simply had more. On the Valiant, alarms screamed continuously. Shield integrity at 62%. Enemy breach forming in outer orbit. Multiple carrier groups advancing. Malik clenched his fists. They're overwhelming us. Sophia's eyes stayed locked on the battlefield. No. A pause. They're trying to. Human ships engaged in brutal dogfights across orbit. Entire sectors of space became burning wreckage fields. Council dreadnoughts exchanged fire with human carriers at point-blank range. And for the first time, human losses began to mount faster than replacements. A human cruiser exploded near the Valiant, shaking the entire command ship. Malik looked shaken. Admiral, this isn't working. Sophia didn't answer immediately. She was watching something else. Patterns. Movement flows. Coalition coordination structures. Then she spoke softly. They made a mistake. Malik looked confused. What mistake? Sophia pointed toward the tactical display. They assumed unity means efficiency. A pause. It doesn't. On command, she activated a system-wide override. Deploy decentralized warfare protocol. Across the battlefield, human fleets changed again. But this time, not into formations. Into independence. Each ship received autonomous command authority. No central coordination. No predictable structure. Just millions of independent combat units reacting instinctively. Commander Jarak noticed immediately. Human formations are breaking apart. A coalition strategist laughed. They've lost coordination. But then something unexpected happened. Human effectiveness increased. Rapidly. Because unlike coalition fleets, human ships didn't rely on centralized logic. They relied on adaptability. Every pilot, every captain, every system became its own decision-maker. Chaos turned into precision at scale. And coalition targeting systems began to fail again. They're unpredictable again, someone shouted. Jarak's expression darkened. No. They've removed their own patterns. That realization changed everything. Humans were no longer a structured military. They were a distributed intelligence. A species-wide adaptive combat organism. On Earth, Sophia finally spoke again. They built a coalition to fight one enemy. She looked up at the battlefield. We built an entire species that doesn't need permission to survive. The war intensified. But now it was different. No longer clean formations. No longer predictable exchanges. It became pure survival conflict. Ship against ship. Pilot against pilot. Fleet against instinct. And somewhere in the chaos, the coalition began to hesitate. Because every victory they achieved came at a cost far greater than expected. Every destroyed human fleet was replaced by 3 new tactical responses. Every human loss created new strategies faster than analysis could process. Jarak watched the battlefield burn. And finally whispered, "This is not war." A pause. "This is evolution under fire." On the Valiant, Malik turned toward Sophia. "Can we still win this?" Sophia didn't answer immediately. Then she said quietly, "We don't need to win fast." A pause. "We just need to not stop." Outside, the galaxy burned brighter than ever. And humanity continued fighting. Not as an army, but as an idea that refused to die. The galaxy expected Earth to fall. Not quickly, but inevitably. Because no civilization, no matter how advanced, was supposed to survive against a unified coalition of the oldest empires in existence. And yet, Earth was still standing. Barely. Above the shattered remains of orbital space, the battlefield had become unrecognizable. Wreckage drifted like dying stars. Entire fleets flickered in and out of existence as damaged systems collapsed under sustained fire. But humanity did not break. On the Valiant, alarms had long since merged into a continuous warning tone. The ship itself was scarred, systems failing, yet still operational. Commander Malik looked at the tactical display in exhaustion. "Admiral, coalition losses are higher than expected." Sophia Reyes stood at the center of the bridge, unmoving. "And human losses?" A pause. The officer hesitated. "Severe." Silence followed. Then Sophia nodded once. "Continue." Malik turned toward her sharply. "That's it? Continue?" Sophia finally looked at him. "Yes." A beat. Because stopping is not an option they understand. Outside, coalition fleets regrouped again. But something had changed. The confidence was gone. The certainty had cracked. Commander Jarak stood on his bridge staring at the battlefield in silence. His coalition had done everything correctly. Overwhelming numbers. Unified strategy. Adaptive countermeasures. And still, humanity remained. Not dominant. Not unscathed. But present. That was what terrified him most. A fractured coalition admiral spoke over comms. "They are not collapsing." Another added, "They are not even slowing permanently." Jarak finally spoke. "They are learning faster than we are killing them." A heavy silence followed, because that was the truth no one wanted to accept. The war had shifted from conquest to endurance. On Earth, deep underground, civilian engineers continued manufacturing replacement systems at impossible speed. Medical teams rotated exhausted personnel. Students were being trained into combat roles within days. Human society had become a living war engine. Not because it wanted to, but because it had to. Sophia received another update. Malik read it aloud quietly. Coalition internal disputes increasing. Coordination dropping by 12%. Sophia's eyes narrowed slightly. "So it begins." Malik frowned. "What begins?" Sophia turned toward the holographic map of the battlefield. "Collapse from within." She zoomed in on coalition fleet movements. They weren't built for unity. A pause. "We were." Across coalition channels, mistrust began spreading. Species that had cooperated under fear of humanity now started blaming each other for failures. Resource disputes reignited. Command disagreements escalated. And the longer the war continued, the less stable the coalition became. Jarak noticed it too. "They are fracturing," he muttered. But it wasn't humanity doing it directly. It was pressure. Sustained, adaptive, relentless pressure. Humanity didn't need to break the coalition. It just needed to keep existing long enough for the coalition to break itself. On the Valiant, Malik watched another human fleet regroup and re-enter combat despite heavy losses. They are still coming back. Sophia nodded. Yes. A pause. Because every time they think we're finished. Her voice hardened slightly. We prove them wrong. Outside, coalition fleets launched another massive synchronized strike. Earth's shields flared under the impact. For a brief moment, it looked like collapse. Then human counterfire erupted from every orbital layer. Not perfectly coordinated. Not centrally commanded. Just millions of independent responses converging into one outcome. Survival. Commander Jarak stared at the chaos. Then finally admitted what he had been avoiding. They are not defending Earth. A pause. They are redefining warfare. Silence followed. On Earth, Sophia activated one final system. Malik noticed immediately. Admiral, that's the emergency doctrine. Sophia nodded. Yes. And if we activate that? She looked toward Earth. Then the galaxy learns what humanity becomes when it stops expecting survival. A long pause. And starts expecting extinction. Malik swallowed. Are we there yet? Sophia's answer was quiet. We were there the moment they asked us to kneel. She pressed the activation command. Every human fleet, every station, every weapon system received the same signal. Not an order, a declaration. And across the battlefield, humanity responded as one final unified thought. We do not kneel. The lights of Earth flared brighter than ever before. And the war for the galaxy reached its final phase.